Welcome to the State of Her. I'm your host, Keisha. I have a special guest on today by the name of Shermonicia Slaughter. She has a nonprofit of Help Me, Help You for domestic violence survivors. She's located in Mobile, Alabama. Also, her podcast is the Blessed 40s podcast. Please go follow her as well, too. So I'm just going to get right into it. Shermonica, thank you for coming onto the platform. I appreciate you. And we need to know what's going on with you from your past to your present right now. So just tell us who you were before this chapter of your life, like your upbringing, your childhood up until the domestic violence
Yeah.
situation.
Well, first off, thank you so much for having me on your show. It's just been a pleasure getting to know you and, getting to know your platform. So thank you. I really
You're
appreciate it a
welcome.
whole lot. Like you are,
You're welcome.
if people really knew, you are really amazing. Like you really are. So thank you. I
Thank
really
you. You're
thank you.
welcome.
So, as you guys say, my name is Shermonica Slaughter. I am from Mobile, Alabama, born and raised. Been here. I'm a mother of three. I had a very traumatic childhood. So,
Mm,
I've been seeing abuse all my life and everything. So that's why it was kind of normal for me to get in a abusive relationship, even though I was against, like, oh, I would never let a man put his hands on me and end up doing it. But both my parents were addicts. We
mm.
struggled a lot. We moved around a lot. We stayed in a lot of domestic violence shelters. It was just a very chaotic childhood. That's how I grew up. My first actual abusive relationship, I was 13. And then it went from like every man that I was with, it was some form of abuse. Until it got to the one that almost ended my life.
Was it a boyfriend at 13?
Yeah, I did have a boyfriend at 13.
And at 13 years old, he
At
was
13.
13 as well?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. It was more of on a verbal sense, but a
But
physical
still
one.
abuse.
I was like 16. I was in Job
Hmm.
Corps, and he
Hmm.
pushed me through a glass window.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and
A
I
glass?
defended him, and they was like, "We saw it on camera," so therefore they sent us both home. We both got expelled from there, but that was like my first like taste of the physical violence and
And you
everything.
say glass window, Sharmonica. Is it like glass window, like on the first, second floor, or a glass, like what?
So we were like in this little box area, and it was like, you know how you have like the glass right here? There's like a metal part, and then there's glass right there too. And you can kind of see out of. So when he pushed me, like the my body, my neck like hit the metal part, and my body like went through the glass. Yeah,
Wow,
yeah. So
I'm
that was
so
like my
sorry to
first
hear
taste
that.
of it.
And then you stuck up for him, you said?
I
Like,
did. I did. Because that's all I saw. My mother, my
mm,
father would put his hands on my mother, and we would leave and go to a domestic violence shelter, and then she would go right back to him. And she would
mm,
always just defend him. So her thing that she taught me was that you no matter what, you just defend your man, no matter what he's doing, because at least you got a man. So that's kind of where the
mm.
my mindset came from. Hey, take this man. He's beating on you, but at least you got a man.
That's like a brainwashing too,
Yeah.
as well,
It definitely
like
was.
a different level.
Mhm.
So when that happened with you with the push out the window, what was the next step? Like, what did you do?
So when we both got expelled, I came back home, of course, and then he was in Louisiana. And I was still trying to be like, we can be together. But I won't say maybe by like after a month or two, I was like, no, this not gonna work out. And I cut ties completely and just, went on to the next one. So from like the age of 15, I've always like been with a man. I had never been alone or by myself because I didn't know how to be by myself. It wasn't until recently where the Lord have had me in a place that I've been single. He was like, I need you single and completely focusing on me and what I need you to do. So I'm grateful for that time too, because I used to just want to have a million people around me because I hate to be alone.
Right. That's probably why you was with them,
Yes, yes, ma'am.
because you hate to be alone. So what is your day-to-day, um, like, your day-to-day, how do you feel day-to-day with your emotional and your mental capacity? What is that for you?
Yeah. Well, I'm in a wonderful place in my life now. Thank God. It took so about I've been single for 9 years. It don't even feel like it's been 9 years, but it's been 9 years. And throughout
Wow.
this 9 years, God has taken me on a just a journey of so just to kind of give you a little side note. The last relationship I got out of, it was my daughter's father, my youngest daughter's father. And when he left and we broke up, because it was abusive too, but it was more on a mental and verbal type abuse. I was going to therapy. I said, "Imma go to therapy to get
Mm,
over him." And
mm,
the therapist was like,
mm,
"Oh, no. This has to go back to your childhood. This has nothing to do with a man." And it was from that
mm,
point right there where I began to work on childhood trauma and just, the
mhm.
things I went through childhood, teenage years, adult years, and I'm on a healing journey. And I feel like I will always be on one until I get up out of here. Now I'm past a lot of stuff and I've been healed from a lot of stuff, but my day to day is I start my day with the Lord and I end my day with the Lord. I try to surround myself, with the word of God, teaching my children about the Lord, just keeping my mind consecrated because when the devil comes, he comes really hard at me. And I have to just keep my mind in his word and keep my mind with just focus on that because, I'm a suicide survivor. I tried to commit suicide 3 different
You did?
times. Yeah.
Why?
3 different
Why?
times. Yeah. The
Why?
because I was in a dark place in my teenage
Okay.
years, but it wasn't until I had my son. I had postpartum depression really bad, and so
Oh.
I had thoughts of hurting him, so instead of hurting him, I hurted myself. So I
Mhm,
tried to hang myself, it didn't work. I tried to slit my wrist, it didn't work, and then I tried to knock myself unconscious and drown myself in the
mhm.
bathtub. And so I was just in a dark place. I
Wow.
used to cut myself. I was a cutter and everything.
Right.
So the Lord has just really brought me from just a dark place and I'm grateful for it. So not that I don't have bad days, not say, but I've learned the difference between a bad day and a bad life.
So
And
how did you
everything.
get yourself out of that, like the suicidal thoughts and things like that? How did you get yourself out of that?
I
'Cause
gave it
you
to
tried
God.
many times.
I did. So I gave it to God in therapy. Like I'm
Mhm,
so grateful because I've learned now that, life does get better.
mm,
You just gotta go through those times. And if you don't, because I've known a lot of people that have that have unfortunately, it succeeded
yes,
and they're not here anymore and everything.
yes.
And I always just thank God because it was meant for me to still be here. Because,
Yeah.
for those graphic natures of how it was really meant for me to be here and everything. So I just really my life is really God. Like I give God all of the credit. And it was hard because I had a victim mentality. My
Mm,
mindset was my mother wasn't in my life and my father wasn't in my life and I've been on my own since I was 11, so I was a victim. I didn't know how to take
mhm,
accountability for it. So it was everybody's fault but my own. But I had to be like, wait a minute. You choose the man that you had children with. You chose this, you
right.
chose that. You have to take accountability. And when I started doing that, it just opened up a world of me to get out that victim mindset.
That is such an amazing
Thank
thing, and I'm
you.
glad that you're here.
Thank you.
It's like the 3 strikes you're out,
Yeah.
but 3 strikes and you are here.
Yes, ma'am.
That's amazing. Tell us how you were before this chapter of your life, like just who you were, just
Um,
Sharmonica.
I was a broken woman. I was
Mhm,
completely broken. I had no sense of direction, didn't know where my life was going, was kind of in and out of the world. I was going to church. I was one of those people where it was like, well, I go to church on Sundays and
mhm,
Wednesdays, but I didn't have a relationship with God.
mhm,
It was just a box I checked off my list. I was still out here in the world, fornicating, sleeping around, just
right,
still doing lukewarm, basically,
right,
you know. And so I was just broken, settling for just I need a man. I gotta have a man. So I have 3 children by 3 different men. And
mhm,
so if you can kind of see what my mindset was back then, because
mhm,
they're all not in their life at all, period.
mhm,
So it's just me raising them. But I settled. I settled and
mhm,
my mind was so fixated on get my children a father so they don't grow up
mhm.
like how I grew up, not knowing that that was the best thing that the Lord could ever done for me is for me not to be with them and for me to raise my children the way I'm raising them now. So
So why aren't the father in their lives? Is it because of your choice?
girl, you I tell me. So I was married to my son's dad. We were married, but we got a divorce. My second daughter's dad, he's the one that almost killed me. He was the
Oh,
most abusive. And then my last daughter's dad, um, he's about to get ready to go to prison. Yeah.
is it for
Mhm.
domestic violence?
No. No, no, no. It's
Okay,
something way worse, way worse.
okay,
So, yeah.
okay,
Mhm.
understood. So how did this affect you? How you saw yourself as a woman?
Ooh, it affected a lot because I didn't know who I was.
Mm,
Like, I didn't know and I couldn't if you was to ask me, "Tell me about you, Shamonica," I couldn't even tell you because I was just that I had just had that much of a broken mindset and everything because all I ever saw was pain. All I ever saw was
mm,
chaos. All I ever saw was drama. I'd never seen healthy relationships and healthy marriages or who God is and what he is. It was just always one thing after the next in my life. So I was always once I came out of something, all right, what's going to happen now? That's kind of where my mindset was back then. It was never nothing positive. Believe it or not, I was very bitter. Very bitter.
mm.
I was a bitter woman. I got these children, got these men, and they're not here, and
Right.
trying to run behind them and make them be fathers, it made me even more bitter.
Wow. And your friends, where were the friends at? Were the friends like the same way as you? Like,
Yeah,
where was your friends?
yeah, in a sense. So the only friend that I had for a long time, we had been friends. We were 17, but it was
Mm-hmm.
no growth there. So she was a kind of
Okay.
like a in and out friend. If she get a man, she didn't want to be my friend anymore until the man would break up with her, and then we'll be friends again.
One of
And
those.
so it wasn't until about 6 years ago. So no, let me back up. When I got with my son's dad, I mean, I'm sorry, my daughter's dad, and it seemed like we were really gonna be together and it was really gonna
Mm-hmm.
work out, she cut me
Mm-hmm.
out of her life because we didn't have that trauma bonding anymore. It wasn't like our baby daddies ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? We bonded over a lot of trauma, but it was never no growth. And so when
Right.
me and him broke up and I started working on growth and healing and really giving my life to the Lord, like I say, she had cut me out of her life, but then she popped back up. She just after like
Mm-hmm.
5 years, she just popped up, and me not consulting God, but wanting a friend, I took her back. And I was like, "Yeah, I got my
Mm-hmm.
friend back," but she hadn't done no work on herself. So here I am over here, love and peace and growth and God, and she's still here talking about this man ain't this and that man ain't that and sleeping. I was just like, God
That's not
reminded
you.
me what it was like to be friends with her.
Really.
So we was kind of like off and on. I kept trying to still be that God friend. Maybe I can help her come to the Lord. And it's been 2 years now, so if the Lord was like, "I had been told you that
Wow.
relationship had expired." So, she was kinda like the only one that was, like, there through it all. I've had little associates
Right.
here and there, but she was the only one. So, but for now, it's just me and my kids. It's just us.
That's
That's
all
what
you
it
need
is. Yeah,
sometimes.
that's what he did a complete
That's
sweep, out of a lot of people in my life. He got them on out of here because he was like, "Where I'm taking you, they can't go."
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So the guy, did he grow up in an abusive household as well as you?
Which one?
Well, all three of them, and not knowing that three of them were all
Well, I
abusive,
would
but
say
all three of
so
them.
my son's dad was, like, verbally abusive. I
Okay.
really didn't know too much about his upbringing. The only thing I knew was
Okay.
that when I met him I went to Job Corps for a second time, and that's how I met him.
Mhm. Okay.
And, he was pretty much a mama's boy. I'm talking about, like, the
Mhm.
moment I met him, he was working, sending his whole check to his mother.
Oh, wow.
And when I came along, I kinda changed that up, so she didn't like me at all and things like that, but he was her emotional boyfriend because his
Okay.
father had left. My second daughter's dad, it wasn't so much that he saw abuse. It was like his mother just ran with a bunch of different men and he was angry about that. So he took it out on every
Yeah.
woman. And then the
Yeah.
last one, his mother is very, very I'm talking about very religious. You cannot hold a conversation with her. She don't want to talk to you about anything unless she direct you back to the Bible, which is not wrong,
Wow.
but she can't have a simple conversation with you. So he really grew up neglected. And so he just ran from woman to woman to woman to woman to woman. Because I think right now he got 10 children by
Wow.
different women. And when
Including
when I
yours?
met him, I ended up being number 4. That's what my mindset was that I would have the 4th child by man. So yeah.
Wow, 10? Did you say about 10 different women?
He got 3 by 1. Yeah, he has 3
Oh,
by 1. She's the only one that has multiple children by him, but everybody else, they just got
sheesh. That's something else.
yes.
So where were their parents doing, especially the physical one? Where was his like mother, parents?
So
They
so she knew, and she
oh,
used to
see?
tell me, "Just don't make him mad. Stop making him mad, and he won't put his hands on you." Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Cause she didn't want him there cussing her out and going off on her. And I
Mm.
knew that she wasn't on my side. So one day we got into a fight and he had
Mhm.
knocked me unconscious. And when I woke
What?
up, yeah, when I hit, like he just would hit me in my head over and over. And when I woke up, I was in my bed and his mother was there. And she was like
Mhm.
playing in my hair. And I was like, "What are you doing here?" He told her I slipped and fell in the bathtub and he found me and
Oh,
everything. But she knew what happened. She knew. And so that's pretty much what it was. And even to this day, like she still defends him, he's still living there at the house for her and everything. Yeah, 41, still there. And so
wow.
it's just she will never be that kind of mother that would let him fall as a man and learn how to maybe take it. Even we was together, she used to go without paying her bills to give me money to help me with my bills because he didn't have a job.
Wow.
I was going to work every day. He was babysitting, the daughter we had together and my son while I was at work, and I was getting beat on. Broke his
And
mind
he was
up.
comfortable with that. Wow, interesting.
Yeah. Mhm.
Interesting. What did your healing process look and feel like for you after you leaving?
So it was hard. So a lot of people confuse healing with, oh, you just like sitting on the beach and you meditating and you just all this and they made peace a hashtag or healing a hashtag, but it's so much deeper than that. Healing is really hard and it's really difficult
Explain.
because it will expose things about you that you know you don't want to face. And that's why a lot of people don't heal because they don't want to take accountability for the
Mm,
trauma and the things they brought in their life. So they want to be a victim. They wanna
mm,
continue having their mindset because when you don't have that mindset anymore, you gotta be like, "I don't need I can't do this," because you
mhm,
gotta suffer the consequence of the choices that you make. And so
mm,
my healing journey was really up and down. Like I struggled for a long time because for one, I was angry about what I allowed this man to do to me. I was angry I had a child with him. I was
mhm,
angry because like my mother and my sisters, all of them were in abusive relationships, so I didn't have anybody to turn to. I didn't think I was angry at God because honestly, he would leave because he ran back and forth between me and the mother of his child. He would leave and he like my life would get better, but then I'll let him come back and the
oh,
abuse would get worse. So I was angry at everybody except me. And so when I really
mm,
began my journey and the camera got turned back on the choices that Shermonica made, it was rough, but I thank God for it. I thank God for that time that I had to go through all that. And I spent a lot of days in the dark on the floor crying, crying out
mm,
to God because I didn't want to be that way anymore. And I was like, I got daughters. How can I teach
mhm,
them? You don't let a man put his hands on you and I'm getting hit on. How can I show my
mm,
son you don't put your hands on a woman, you walk away. You
right,
get far away from her as you can
right,
and everything. If need be, call your mama. I'll come
right,
work it out for you, but don't put your hands on because the minute you do,
right,
you labeled as an abuser, even if she was hitting you. So it was things like that. But you know, the night that I left, God showed me my funeral, and it really woke
mm.
me up. It woke me up completely.
Quick question. When you was getting abused, were you fighting back too as well? Um,
No, no. So that that was another thing. So when between me and the other mother of his child, she was fighting him back. I wouldn't.
okay.
I wouldn't fight him
Okay.
back. No, I did. I didn't fight him back at all. And I carried that for a long time and everything. But no, I didn't. I didn't fight him back.
And when he
She
was
was very
abusing
weak.
you,
Yeah.
was it mostly your body, your face? Like, where was he hitting you at?
So because I had to work, he didn't mess my
Mhm.
face up at all. But I had
Mm.
bruises. I had bruises everywhere else. I was sexually assaulted by him. I was raped by him. I
Mhm.
was locked in closets. I was
Wow.
pulled and dragged by my hair and knives to my throat, and it was a lot. I beaten with belts. Like he took me through it. Oh yeah, he did. Like just and I would go to work and still had to go to work and everything, and he would fight me on the way to work. And I remember
What?
one time I was heading there and like we stopped, we pulled over, and I just remember just in the parking lot, people was passing by, seeing him fighting me, and did nothing to help me at all. Oh yeah,
And that is like give or take situation because sometimes when you try to help a woman in that kind of thing,
Mhm.
sometimes the woman curse you out for helping, you
And
know,
see,
and
exactly that you say that because that's what I was. I complained all about it to people would just say, I can't be your friend anymore because you sitting here telling me this man has like threw you to the wall, he's punched you, he's kicked you, and you're still with him." And so
mm,
a lot of people walked away. They did and everything, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. It was
mm,
still like maybe he can change, maybe we can this and that. Now this man left me and had another baby. I took him back. He left me. He married the other baby mama. I took him back. I,
wow.
it was all that. I had to get tired within myself, and so when I did get tired, it was nothing else that he can do. I got up out of there, me and my children.
So let me ask you because I've been in situations as well. I've sort of had like a K to my head and stuff like that. I've been through situations like that. But once you do one thing to me one time, I'm gone.
Yeah, that's
One
my
time.
mindset now.
I'm
I'm talking about
gone.
one time,
It
I'm
it
out of
didn't t
there.
it didn't take me days, weeks, or months. I was gone. So what made you stay so long? Because you're like, I'll be afraid, you know what I'm saying? Like a man with a gun, with a knife, but I'm not coming back to you tomorrow or tonight. So I'm just curious, like, how did you go through that, like, every single day? He put a knife to your head to your neck on Monday, right? And you come back Monday evening. How were you in that home setting?
I was terrified of him. I was afraid. I didn't have anywhere to go, and so
Mm,
and he was living with me in my apartment, mind you now. And he would so the place that I lived in, if somebody was
mhm,
living with you and it got reported, you would get evicted.
mhm.
So
Okay.
he would say, "Call the police. You can call them. Imma tell your landlord that I've been living with you and you and your children are gonna be evicted. You ain't got nowhere to go. I can go back to my
Okay.
mother's house." Mind you, we have a whole child together, so your child would be evicted too. So he held that over my head. But when I got to my point that I was for to leave, I didn't care what he had to say. And so
Yeah.
I was actually gonna leave. I had started I had started going to therapy. I had started moving money around. I sent my son away for the summer. I sent him to live with my sister in Florida. I was like, I really need you because he was seeing a lot and he dealt with a
Right.
lot. He saw a lot of abuse. I had to put him in therapy.
Mm,
He was like 4 or 5 at the time. But I said I
mhm.
need him to be down here with you for the summer because I was just gonna leave. I knew he couldn't stay at my house by himself because he ain't had no job. He couldn't pay the bills.
Right.
So I was going to go until he
Right.
left. Just crazy mindset back then and everything. Like you gonna leave your place and
Mhm.
whatnot. But unfortunately, the night that like I said, the night that I did leave, it is the night that he almost killed me, but he left. Afterwards, he it's like I went when the after everything happened, the Lord woke me up and I was there, my thing was like, "You gotta go." I called his mother and I was like, "You need to come get your son or you gonna be burying your son." It's like God had just
Mm.
given me just the strength
Yeah.
I had never had before, and she came and got him, and I said, "Lord, I won't ever go back." And it's been 15 years, and I never once looked back.
Wow.
It's been 15 years, and of course, I was all kind of liars, and he never put his hands on you, but every woman he's been with after me, he's beat them. 'Em. I'm talking about every woman.
Wow.
Yeah. And then to the fact that, cause they was with him, "Oh, he'll never hit me." But then when he did start fighting them, who they call? "Hey, can we talk for a minute?"
Shermonica.
Inbox me and everything. I was like, "Oh, I thought I was just a jealous ex." But
Right.
because of who I was, I talked to him. I did. I did. I talked to him. I was there for him and everything, and I actually became good friends with one of them and whatnot. But yeah, it was something. I that night right there, and we recently here we've been having a lot of domestic violence cases lately with women losing their life, and
Wow.
it used to yes man, it used to trigger me. But now it hasn't triggered me. It's made me grateful that that could have been me because I almost died.
Did the ambulance come that day for you or
No,
when
no. So the night I left, if you don't mind me sharing it, you don't
Oh,
okay. Okay.
yes.
So that's as I stated, I had began to I sent my son away. and I had began to I was moving money, like, on my off days. He didn't know what was my off days. I was going to therapy, and I was strategically planning everything. So I had stopped being intimate with him. I had, like, upstairs in my apartment. I started sleeping downstairs on my couch. I had wanted nothing to do with him.
Mhm.
And so
Wow.
the night that everything happened, he woke up and come to find out he was on drugs the whole time. I did not know that he was
What?
on drugs, yeah. And even
What
though
kind of
you
drugs
would
was
think,
this?
powder. So you
Wow.
would think that because I had parents that were on drugs, I would see the
Right.
signs, but my parents
Mhm.
were really different, drug addicts. It was like my father was the
Okay.
kind of drug addict where he would pay all the bills first and then he would get high later. But my mother
Okay.
was like, "Oh, I'm to get high now, and I'll worry about the bills." So they were really different. But he didn't
Okay.
really have any signs of it, so I didn't pick up on anything. But I remember he woke up, and of course I wasn't there, and he came downstairs and he was just like, he just started accusing me of stuff. "You're sleeping with somebody else," and you this and that. And I was like, "I have got to go to work tomorrow." So before I knew, he had grabbed me by my hair, drugged me off the couch. He was hitting me like I was bleeding from my mouth. And at that moment, and then he was screaming in my ear, "You be, you this, you that." And it was at that moment I was like, "Shamonica, you got to go. You got to go now." So I grabbed my babies. At the time, I think my daughter was like maybe 9 or 10 months.
Mhm.
And, I just remember, like, he had tried he tried to hit he almost hit her with a broom, but I turned, and when I turned, it hit me. But he didn't even care, like, he was gonna really hit her. So, I remember I ran out the house, and I fell. And I fell, and my baby, she rolled some, but she didn't hurt herself, she just kinda rolled. So, he
Oh my.
came out the house, he was like, "You threw my baby on the ground," and I didn't know, but he had my keys, like, he had, like, right here between his hand, and he hit me in my head, and all I knew, I just felt blood just
Oh
gushing,
my gosh.
and I took off running. Now me and him went to high school together. Like, that's how I knew him from high school, but after high school, you go your separate ways, we met back up.
Right.
He was a football player. So when I took
Okay.
off running, he took off running behind me and left my baby right there. He took off running behind me. I was actually running to my mother's house because I live, like, right here, and she lived through a big old field. So I
Okay.
like to go to her house. And he caught me in that field. He tripped me up, and I hit my head, and I was unconscious. He left me there, bleeding from my head,
What?
dying. He left me there. And while I was unconscious, the Lord showed me my funeral. I saw my son and my daughter sitting on the front row. I saw my body in the casket. I saw them crying, and I heard the Lord say to me, "This is what's gonna happen to you. I'm
Mm.
showing you now. If you do not leave
Mhm.
now, you've got to go now." And
Mhm.
and I'm gonna tell you right now, I woke up in my bed. I don't know how I got there.
Really?
And even to this day, he was like, "No, I left." And he left, and he put my baby in the car, and he drove off. I woke up in my bed, so I say it's nothing but the power of God, 'cause I don't know how I got there.
You know how you got there
I
to
woke
this
up in my
day.
bed to this day. He swear up and down, he was like, he said he never even looked back. He kept on going,
Mm.
went and got our daughter and left, and
'Cause he
so when
wanted you to die that
yeah,
day, so he
yeah,
just did what he did
mhm,
and just
yeah,
kept it
yeah,
moving,
and
wishing that you was dead that day, that night,
and when I
but it
woke
happened
up
that day.
I just had this strength about me, and so I told him, I was like, "It's over with, you gotta go." And of course, it won't happen again. It was just a mistake. And then when he realized I was serious, it was all kind of names again. But by that time, his mom got there, and he moved all his stuff on out, and I sat behind my door after I closed the door and locked it, and I just cried for like 2, 3 hours.
Mhm.
And I was like,
Mhm.
"Lord, if you give me the strength to move
Mhm.
forward, I'll never look back." And, a lot of times women deal with, the aftermath. They still be stalking them, fine. But he had moved on to another woman, and so I wasn't on his mind
Mm.
anymore, so I didn't have to deal with all that. Yeah, he went on to another woman.
So just like that, I'm with you
Yep,
for all these years and just one night,
just like that.
gone,
So
just like that.
apparently he probably already had been involved with it, but this thing I know, they was together, and I was glad because I didn't have to worry about looking over my shoulder. Oh, well,
Right,
I
that's
was
what
able to really
yes,
move into, "Okay, I need to heal."
yes.
Yeah.
Wow, that is a story. I'm glad you are here, girlie.
Thank
Oh
God for
my
healing. I thank
gosh.
God up above.
Oh my goodness. So, like, when did you realize things had to actually change for you? Like,
It's my children. Is when I began to
With
see
children.
my son, he didn't wanna be at home, he didn't wanna come home from school, he didn't wanna do any of that, and I was like, "What are you doing? Like, is even worth it?" No, it's not worth it at all, period, and so that's where everything, like, began to change.
For the better. Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh. And how did you begin rebuilding your confidence and your identity as a woman, as a Black woman at that?
Yeah. Just began to, put myself around things that like me, I'm a researcher. Like I've always been. I'm a reader.
Mhm.
I've been reading since before I probably knew how to hold a bottle. I love to read.
Mhm.
So whenever I'm putting my mind to something, I'm trying to find out everything
Mhm.
about it so I can apply it to my life. And I made the decision to be single and not get
Mm.
involved with anybody and just really work on that. I got in therapy because I used to be one of those people. Black people don't go to therapy. And then say I was one of those, but I tell you right now, I'm a big advocate for it, like a huge
Mm.
advocate. And so, just being in therapy all these years and just growing, my relationship with God got better and deeper. And I learned 'cause I used to feel like God hated me because that's kind of like a church I
Mm.
was at. It was a real
Yeah.
oppressive teaching, and so
Yeah.
when you do one wrong thing, you're going to hell. It was that kind of
Yeah.
church like that. And so I got away from that church. So I got away from it. But just, having a mindset to want to change. You gotta have a desire. You can say it and speak it, but you gotta have that desire in your heart to really want to do it.
And you say you don't date, right?
I haven't been on a date in a few years now. After me and my daughter's dad broke up, I was like, yeah, I'm finna go out here and find me somebody. And boy, let me tell you something. The Lord was like, He had told me I want you to be single. But I was like, no, I want me a man. And he's like, you gonna
Right.
be single? And it was the worst date ever. And the man thought I was gonna sleep with him. And he tried to sleep with me and I didn't want to, and I left. And then about 2 weeks later, he got arrested for raping and strangling a woman.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah. And I
Monica.
was like the Lord was like,
Blessings.
"How many signs I gotta keep showing you?" So I have been single and just focusing on God since the
So if you could speak to the version of yourself who was still on that domestic violence situation,
Mhm.
what would you tell her today?
I would tell her to run. I would say, run because, when I first got with him,
Mhm.
it was like I ran, like, for, like, about 2 months, he, like, completely chased
Right,
me, but something in me was like, "Don't talk to him, don't talk to him,"
right,
and then I finally just gave in, but,
right.
in all honesty, I would say to her, "You gotta learn to love yourself," because
Mm,
when you know who you are and you know your
mhm,
worth, you wouldn't settle for none of that. If I was who I am now, with all the
mhm,
work I've done, I wouldn't have 3
mhm,
children by 3 different men. I wouldn't have been in
mhm,
none they wouldn't even be able to say "Hey" to me because of,
mhm,
all the growth and everything. But I would just tell them, "Stop looking for your dad in men,"
mm,
because that's my main thing. All of my children's father are some aspects of my father. And I learned
mm,
all that through therapy. It was like, stop looking for his love and everything. It's not coming from them.
mm. That is amazing. Quick question,
Sure.
Shamonica, because you talk about your parents and stuff like that. Where are they now?
So I do not have a relationship with my mother. She's
Okay,
still an addict. Um,
okay.
I really don't have one with my dad either. It's not bad. I've just hadn't seen him.
Mhm,
I hadn't seen him in a long time. The last time I did see him, it was like at my uncle's funeral, and we kind of
mm.
talked for a minute, and we took a couple pictures, and that's it. And so,
And do they still live in Alabama? They still
mhm.
live
Yeah,
right by you, right
my mother
over?
lives, like, 5 minutes from me, and then I don't know where he live at.
Mhm,
I don't know where my dad live at.
mhm,
So, I
mhm,
chose not to have a relationship with her because, for one, um, I was verbally abused by her a lot, sometimes physical.
mhm,
We went through a lot of abuse, mentally, physically, sexually, and everything just
mm,
growing up. And I've just always been like, it's like she treat my other sisters better than me. But I was the one that did everything, that do everything for her, but I get treated like dirt. And so when I was like, no, I'm not gonna continue to be treated this way by
mhm.
you and everything. So I just decided to cut ties.
Now do what you have to do, even if they are your parents or even if they are blood. Sometimes it's better off without them.
Yeah.
So I commend you on that.
Thank you.
What signs should women pay attention to that might indicate controlling or abusive behavior? Because let's be honest, Monica, some women just love the authorityness of it
Yes.
and rough and rugged. Oh, it's dog. Oh God, I
Ooh,
love it.
Lord.
But then it becomes a whole catastrophe.
Yeah. Now, in some aspects, a man should have some assertiveness to him,
Mm-hmm.
because you are the head of the household. It's
Mm-hmm.
God, it's the husband, it's the wife. You should have that.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be,
Mm-hmm.
just letting your wife overrun you and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But the number one sign is isolation. So if you get with someone and they begin isolating you from, don't be friends with her and don't talk to your family, they are trying to get you along. That's what he did to me. He literally got me to a place where I had nobody that I could talk to because I had pushed everybody away because of this is what he wanted. So isolation is the first key. Oh, you think it's cute? Oh, he want to know where I'm at 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock. No, 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 no. Now it's
Mm-hmm.
so now if he ain't heard from you in a few while, if that's your husband, say, hey, what's going on? But like, no. So isolation will be a main thing. Another thing is the first time it happened, leave. Leave. I wish I would have left the first time that he put his hands on me, but I stayed. And
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't get better. Oh, I'm sorry. Now I'm not saying people can't make mistakes because people can, but that right there is not a mistake. It's not
Mm-hmm.
a mistake. You willingly put your hands on someone. You really inflicted harm to somebody. It was like, no, leave. I tell my daughters, first sign, you get out of there. It's no, oh, nope, you get out of there. But all that comes from knowing who you are. Because,
Mm-hmm.
I've met a lot of women, like how you stated before, first time something happened, I'm out of there. You know your
Right.
worth as a person. You know, hey,
Mhm.
this is not right. You're not going to treat me this way. I didn't know that.
Mm.
Hmm.
'Cause I always said to myself, I had friends like that, get abused physically and things like that. And I'm like, why you just don't leave? Like, what's the problem?
Yeah.
Like, what's holding you?
Yeah.
Even if you have kids, these girls don't have no kids with them. Like, what are you doing? I never understood that. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
It's a mindset.
And even to
It's
this
a
day, I
mindset.
still don't, I get it, but I just don't understand it
Yeah.
at times.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a real broken mindset. It's something in them that feels like maybe they can change him, or maybe they can't do no
Mm,
better, or maybe one day they'll wake up and see they won't put their hands on me anymore. But by that time, it may be too late. They may have been killed you.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
Wow. What support do women need after leaving an abusive relationship that they don't usually receive? Because
So
some women just leave and
yeah.
thank God, and then go into the
Mhm.
next one or
And
just
it'd be the same spirit, but in a different body. And
mhm.
everything. So that's kind of where my nonprofit came in at
Okay.
because therapy helped me. It helped me change
Mhm.
my mindset. So a part of my nonprofit would help me help you and everything. I have over the years, God has really connected me with a lot of amazing people. So I have a
Mhm.
lot of great resources, housing and shelters
Oh,
and things
wow.
like that. But the main thing is counseling because I can help you get a place to stay. I can help you get a job. I can help you maybe get in a shelter. But if you don't change your mindset, if you don't heal, all you're gonna do is either let that abuser come back or you're gonna go
Yes.
find a different abuser in a different body. But it's when you
Yes.
change here, you will see the signs. No, you're not gonna put your hands on me. You're not gonna talk to me that way. You will see and you'll go the other way. So that's a big
Mhm.
component of it. Now I do have people that are still in the situation. I talk with them because as I stated, I was one of them people that wasn't ready to leave yet. Or, some people physically can't leave. They don't have any, it's different circumstances. So
Right.
that's kind of my main thing is life after domestic violence. But you have to want to change your
Mm,
mindset. You can't just jump out the relationship. Okay, I'm out of it and then do nothing about all the trauma you just experienced, all
mm,
that pain, because all you're gonna do is you're gonna bring it into the next relationship, especially if you meet a good man, you gonna take everything
mhm.
out on him because you couldn't take it out on the one that abused you.
Yeah, women do abuse men
Yeah,
too,
they do.
so
That's
yeah.
true. They do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. So when did you realize your experience could help another woman?
It was when I was in college, when
Okay.
I was going for my first degree, it was for
Mhm,
paralegal, and
mhm,
the class I was in, we had to write a report, and so I did it
mhm.
on a young man here, his name was Michael Donald. He was, back in the '80s, he had got, hanged by the Ku Klux Klan. Oh, yeah, and so they actually have a street down here named after him, and his
Wow.
mother, her name was, Beulah May, Donaldson. She actually bankrupt the Ku Klux Klan. She sued them, and she bankrupt them.
That's her.
That's
Yes,
her,
I heard
that's
of
her,
her.
that's her,
Okay.
and unfortunately, she died and everything, but she's
Right,
actually
right.
buried, they're both buried, like, in a cemetery down the street from, like, where I live at now, and
Okay.
I did the report so good.
Mhm.
My teacher was like, "If you wanna do another one, I'll give you another A." So I was like, "What Imma do it on?" And
Right.
then Holy Spirit's like, "Do it on what you just came out of." And I was like, "I
Uh,
can't stand up here and tell people, this and that." But I went home and I started doing my research on domestic violence and I wrote my story and I got up and I did in front of the classroom. And afterwards, a lot of women was like, "Hey, I just came out of something like that," or "Hey, I'm in that right now." And it was so good that he wanted me to do it for every class that he had. And he wanted me to say it, and I was like, "Okay, this can be something." And so it just kinda
yeah.
started from there.
Oh, that's amazing. Look how God works.
Yeah, he did.
Look how God in school.
In
Look
school.
how God
Yeah.
works. Wow.
Mhm.
So tell us about your organization and how it supports women in domestic violence relationships or who are trying to actually rebuild their lives.
Yeah, so she's still a baby. She's still new, but it actually was prophesied to me by about 7 years ago, and I
Mm,
just didn't do nothing with it. I wasn't ready, and so,
mm-hmm.
even though the young lady, everything she spoke to me is what's come to pass now, my mindset was different. I wasn't ready to,
Right.
handle something like that, and so I just kinda sat on it, and,
Right.
it always was there, but I was like, "Lord, I don't know what to do with this," and so
Right.
finally when I really started
Mhm.
tapping into it, because I would like to work with men as well, because men do get abused as well too.
Yeah.
Even though the
Yeah.
statistic is higher for women, but men get
Right.
abused too. And so it just came to me. So I just sat down one day and wrote down all the shelters and just all the resources that helped me throughout the years. And I was like, it could help someone else. So I started
Mm-hmm.
calling them, letting them know, who I am and what I'm trying to do. And I used to be a case manager. And so I worked at a
Okay.
homeless shelter. So a lot of them, I'm still in good standing with them. They know Miss Slaughter when Miss
Right.
Slaughter calls. So I can be like, hey, I may have a young lady in this shelter, but that's
Right.
just how good of a case manager I was. They did not want me to leave, but I was like, I had to go. And so just with the resources and then, with the counseling. So that is if you're gonna come through, the nonprofit, you have to agree to counseling. It can't just be like, oh,
Mm,
help me find a job or help me find no, let's work on the mindset. And as I stated before, it's still some people that are still in that situation. So most of the time we just DM, I just talk to them, I be a
mhm.
shoulder for them because they're
Right.
not ready yet. So I'm not pushing you.
Right.
I'm not saying, girl, you need to get up out of there. Cause I
Right.
had people telling me that. But when I was gonna go, could I come stay with you?
Right.
You
That
you didn't
part.
you didn't offer your house to me and my children, so I just
Mm-hmm.
listened because I'm planting seed up in me
Mm-hmm.
and everything. Because one seed, you're gonna be like, "You know what? I gotta get out of here."
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So that's what it is. It's called "Help Me
Awesome.
Help You."
And it's in Mobile, Alabama,
Yeah.
correct? Awesome. Awesome.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
What would you want a woman to know today if she feels trapped, afraid, or unsure of her worth and her ability to start over again?
I would say to her, just take it one step at a time. And as cliche as that is, I literally got to a point where I was just living day to day, hour by hour.
Mm,
It was like, all right, day one, I'm not being abused. Day two, I didn't have the urge to want to talk. It's literally a day by day thing. And research show it take 15 days to start a habit. If you can go 15 days, you can go another 15 days. You can go another
right.
one. It's a process, but you gotta want it. You have to want to
Mm,
leave. You can't just be mad and upset because that was a lot too. I was mad and we would break up, but then we would get back together and everything. So you have to want to know and you gotta want better. You have to say to
mm,
yourself, especially if you have children, what am I showing my children right now? Like,
mm,
what am I showing them? And if you don't have children, which it is, I tend to be like, 'cause if I didn't have children, I would have been up out of there. Like, I mean, seriously. But
oh,
as
okay.
I stated, once somebody gets your mind, they got you. They got you.
Mm,
They got you. So I would just encourage her to love herself.
mhm,
Take it one day at a time. If you can come up with an escape plan, if you can do what you need to do, get out of there and don't look back. And see, the
mm,
crazy thing about Alabama is it's like you can screen the orders, you can have all of that. It's like they wait until something happens to then they want, and if it's either the person that killed you or you done killed each other, to then they want to say, oh, then, but what about the paper trail they was leaving? You saw that this man was abused this woman. She put papers on him, all this, and nothing was done.
mm,
And that's right there is something that I'm trying that I really want to work on because I want to open up shelters. Like that's all
mm,
part of my plan. I want to have a domestic violence shelter because we really basically have like two here. Like for
mhm.
and it's just not a lot.
That's not
And I
enough.
would love to enact a law that for domestic violence survivors, like for really good protection because it's so many women lose their life. They lose their life trying to
Yeah,
get
there's no
away.
protection for domestic violence women at all. I
No, it's
mean,
really not.
the order of protection of order, whatever that piece of paper is,
It's
those
nothing.
bullets, those knives cannot, like, that
No,
paper cannot stop the
no.
bullet. That paper
You
cannot
might as
stop the
well
knife,
put it in the bathroom and wipe yourself with it because I promise you not to be so crap, but that's what it is.
No, it's true.
Because it's
Yeah.
like in I wanna say in 2016 for the whole I promise you this, every week a woman was getting killed by a man. It was that bad. I'm talking about really bad. Every time you cut the news on, they found another woman body. I think the most horrific one was a young lady. He had killed her at home while she was in the
Mhm.
shower. Took her body and dumped her body at the exit of an interstate, and then he went off to a field and killed himself. It was like
Oh my
happening down
God.
here. It was so bad at one point in time. Like you was literally afraid to even like get involved with anybody because they was killing these young ladies left and right.
This was in Mobile, Alabama?
Mhm. I'm telling you, it's slow. We just had an incident that happened the other day. A young lady, she left, and I guess she didn't want to have anything to do with him, and he killed her. He shot her, and then a few years ago, his sister killed her boyfriend. So she's serving life, and now he done killed his girlfriend. And it's just it's like that. It's really every day here. Somebody's either getting shot, they're getting killed, and it's rough here. It really is.
Why?
It
What's
really
going on? Like,
it's like a death cloud over here and everything, and I'm waiting for my daughter, when she graduates, we're moving, so when she graduates, we're up out of here. Mhm.
I said the police is not doing anything. I mean, so they
Mhm.
actually wait until they actually die to
Yeah.
actually, okay, let's figure this out.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's too late. Wow. You said once per I'm so shocked because I
Mhm.
don't know the rate up here in New York, but
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
once per week, it's a lot.
That's it. Man, I remember that like it was yesterday. It was crazy. Mhm.
Oh my gosh, I'm so that's such a surprise to me right now. Oh my gosh. So like when you talk to women and stuff like that, Sharmonica, like what's the feedback do you get from them?
Well, a lot of women are ashamed because I was ashamed.
Mm,
So, you
okay.
know, they don't wanna come out. I don't wanna share my story. I don't wanna share our bed. And I got a lot of flack in the beginning when I really started this, like, "Why are you sharing? Like, why are you talking about this personal and everything?" And a lot of people
Mm,
used to go back and, like, screenshot stuff I say and send it to him and be like, "You see what she's doing? You can put two and two together with social media." Now, I never say his name. I never do anything like that whenever I have spoke about it.
of
But,
course.
people can
Of
put two and
course.
two together. Mobile is this
Of
big
course.
and
Of
everything. So
course.
of course, I just got a lot of flack from family, from people. "Ooh, girl, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't share my stuff." Well, how are you gonna help someone else? If that's your plight in life, if this is what the Lord
Right.
tell you, how you gonna help someone? And so when they talk to me in their DM, that's as far, it doesn't go any farther than that. I just listen to them, and I like, "Just tell me how you feeling." Why you feel like it's okay for him to hit you,
Right.
or why you feel, I ask questions
Right.
to have them thinking like, "Wait a minute, this is not right." And
Right.
they said they self, so yeah.
Oh my gosh. This is like I'm just so frightened because, like I said, one time I'm done, but I know it's so hard for a lot of
Yeah.
women. I know
Mhm.
that. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Because a man is like our protector per se and stuff like that. And another thing Shamanica has as well too, some women don't even have the means to
Yeah.
actually leave.
No.
They don't have 1 cent to actually
Mhm. Yeah.
leave. So they will stay until they die.
Mhm.
And it's just the truth,
Yeah.
you know? And we need to have means
We really
for them to
do.
actually get
Yeah.
out,
Yeah, a
and
place
what you're
a safe
doing.
space that they know they can go to. I think that's why a lot of women stay because they don't have anywhere to go. All the same friends who were telling you, "Girl, it wouldn't be me. Are you gonna let me and my children come to your house?"
Exactly. Exactly. Wow. You have a crazy good story. I'm glad you shared it.
Thank
Don't
you.
let no one tell you different because it's helping so many people.
Thank you.
Going to different platforms,
Yeah.
we're on a situation that it's worldwide, so everyone will see it. And you're a blessing to many women, to many, many
You.
women.
Thank you. I was
And
so nervous about, like, really starting this, and I'm just grateful that I am, and, I pray that it opens more doors that I can, share. And everything. That's
it
all I
will.
really wanna do is to help women and men know that it is life after domestic abuse. It's truly life afterwards. It don't have to be your downfall or that's the end right there. I was in an abusive relationship and that's it. No, I was in an abusive relationship and here I am now. I'm healed. I've grown. I've matured. I know who I am
Yes.
now. You can put something behind it.
Yes, absolutely. Wow. How can you be contacted? Give them everything, whether
Okay.
it's your socials, telephone, email, whatever it is, everything.
So it's so crazy because I am on all social media platforms, but they all got different names. So
Oh
people
my
so
gosh.
people be like, "Well, you this?" So on Facebook, I'm Shermonica Slaughter, of course. My DMs are open on there. And then on Instagram, I am the Blessed 40s podcast. My DMs are open on there as well. And then on TikTok, I am covered by God 1984. And my DMs are open on there as well. So my email address is Mona Ann, which is MONAANN, my last name Slaughter at yahoo.com. You can email me there. I'm just open. I always keep them open. I don't have that little filter on that filter stuff out. So of course, you have to filter the crazy ones who don't really want nothing. But I keep it like that because by chance somebody may get through and be like, "Hey, I really need to talk," or "Hey, I'm in this situation." So
Mhm.
yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, Shamanic. I really appreciate you,
Thank
okay?
you. I really
So
appreciate
guys,
it.
this is the state of her with Keisha and our special guest, Shamanic Slaughter. Thank you guys for listening and watching. If this episode resonated with you, please review, like, share, subscribe, download, share it with another woman who actually needs it because we need it. You need it. So thank you guys for watching and listening. Don't forget to follow, like, and share at the State of Her HQ. And we on all platforms. And this episode will drop this Wednesday, March 25th. And see you there, guys.